Well, it sure is just one big old club.
Shitting me, gotta be kidding me. How could you shit on me? You ain't got shit on me.
As of course, it's all coming out right now, especially with Hillary Clinton getting with one of the people that she Clintoned. What in the world's going on here? There's a lot of weird emails specifically released by Jeffrey Epstein. As of course, more is coming, as we've been recommending, saying, hey, guys, release the emails. The Democrats did. It looks like that they stopped the release of other documents, but now there's definitely going to be more releases, as even a lot of MAGA Donald Trump supporting Congress members are specifically defying what Donald Trump wants to do. Is now there's some bigger questions about the involvement of Michael Wolff, the involvement of the New York Times, and the involvement of Steve Bannon, as Roger Stone has some very interesting things to say about this, as truly everything we're finding out right now absolutely deserves an investigation. Lots of documents dropping, lots of implications. Steve Bannon is responding to those, and he's responding in a very interesting way, calling Donald Trump, quote, an imperfect instrument. Does he know something's going to be coming out soon that's going to be very damning for the president of the United States? Well, a lot of people expect that. Is that actually what's going to be happening here? As there's a lot of circumstantial information exonerating Donald Trump here that also we, of course, talked about in an open and honest way. And if you appreciate our open and honest conversations talking about the latest news that is developing, subscribe, click the notification button. We greatly appreciate all of your time with us as we've been talking about this for over 15 years. We're like, you're a crazy conspiracy theorist. You think powerful people go on islands and hurt children? Huh, you're crazy. And I'm like, check the receipts on that. We're not. And we were right on the money. As of course now, the conspiracy gets even more interesting as there's an email from Jeffrey Epstein to Michael Wolff claiming that Hillary Clinton had S relations with former attorney Vince Foster. The same guy that was Clinton under mysterious circumstances in 1993 and allegedly connected to the CIA in Mena, Arkansas drug running Iran-Contra scandal that a lot of people believe connected Bill Clinton to the CIA and allowed him to become the next president of the United States. Yeah, that's pretty big. But of course, the major headlines are around Donald Trump, as it looks like Jeffrey Epstein definitely wasn't the biggest fan of Donald Trump. And the two were at odds with each other. They didn't like each other, which is very interesting because Maureen Comey, Trump's DOJ, came to Epstein when he was in jail. And according to Epstein's cellmate, they said, hey, you have any dirt on Trump? We'll let you go right now. And he said he didn't. But it's pretty clear that the two despised each other, as Jeffrey Epstein said that Donald Trump, quote, feels alone and is nuts. I told everyone from day one, evil beyond belief, mad, and most thought I was speaking metaphorically. It's obvious he could crack Stormy Daniels, ? Lies after lies after lies, end quote. That's a direct quote to Jeffrey Epstein to Alandam Thomas Jr. Now, very interesting to have that type of conversation here. As a lot of people are saying, maybe he was projecting. As right now, we're going to get more files, probably, as it looks like Thomas Massie's discharge petition is passing and will go to a vote on the floor as the Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson, who Donald Trump is putting pressure on to not allow this to happen, announced that there will be a vote to release all Jeffrey Epstein files next week. Now, this is huge, as it appears that a lot of people within Congress are being brought in and told, hey, don't vote for this, as a lot of reports are coming in that Trump is personally calling individuals like Lauren Boebert, Nancy Mace, and saying, hey, don't support this discharge petition. As Boebert and Mace are two out of the four Republicans have joined House Democrats to sign this discharge petition, along with MTG and Thomas Massie, who introduced the petition. Now, all reports are coming in that Boebert said no. This is what a lot of people are reporting. We're going to see when the vote comes. Now, what will she do? What will Nancy Mace do? Everyone will now be paying attention to this very closely, as Thomas Massie is dropping the tea here surrounding about what's happening inside of the inner circles with MAGA, Trump, this administration, and Congress.
I got to give credit to Lauren Boebert to walk into the White House, the center of power, the free world, really, and to sustain that and to come back out and to be solid, and also to Nancy Mace and Marjorie Taylor Greene. There was all the speculation that they might take their names off, and they never did. So it's not a hoax. It's not a moot point.
Donald Trump responded to the emails yesterday saying it's a Democratic hoax. Whoever is advising him, whoever told him that this would blow over, because we knew it didn't. I even had major people inside of the industry, other independent journalists, that were saying, no, Luke, you don't get it. No one cares. It's going to blow over. I had a bunch of people. I'm not going to name them, but really a lot of big high-profile people telling me, no, you're wrong. It's going to go away. No one's going to care. It's not going to matter. Shoo. It's irrelevant. I'm like, dude, you don't understand. Covering this for 15 years, you do not understand just how big and significant this is going to be. And then whoever advised Trump said, yeah, don't worry. Just tell them that they're weaklings if they don't. Just tell them there was no conspiracy. Tell them he took himself out. Tell them there was no blackmail operation. Tell them there was nothing to see here. Good night, goodbye, case closed. Whoever told him to do that deserves to be fired. All right? And I think we know who it is. I think it's pretty clear who it is, right? I think it's pretty clear who had ties to other foreign governments that have a lot to lose here when they get exposed here inside of his administration, inside of his inner circle.
It is a very serious thing. There are 1,000 victims, and there are survivors who have had a press conference with Ro Khanna and I, and that's what we're fighting for, justice for them.
Did y'all talk to them at any point during this, as the White House was making clear they were targeting these members?
I talked to them. I don't want to say which one I had this conversation with, but one of them was told, we can't let Massey have a win. How petty is that? I mean, this is more than about political wins. It's about getting transparency and justice, which, by the way, this administration promised. You have the vice president, J.D. Vance, you have the AG, you have the FBI director. They've all done a 180 on this.
So the White House said to one of these members that they didn't want you to have a win here.
That's correct.
Yeah. It's not looking good for Team Trump when it comes to not pass this. Of course, Thomas Massey is also talking about how the FBI has names of 20 men who Jeffrey Epstein allegedly trafficked women and girls to. And again, imagine being put in that position as Kash Patel or Dan Bongino being like, yeah, there's 20 predators out there. Powerful people, big money. They hurt children. You're going to protect them. And you're going to lie to other American people. You're going to tarnish your career, your reputation. And you're going to take the one on, you're just going to fall on the sword for this. And you're going to look horrible. They said yes. From my own personal guesses of what's happening behind the scenes here. And that right there is highlighting a situation that is not a win-win for anybody. Because like these documents were coming out. And I said, look, people were telling me, this is going to go away. It's going to be a few weeks. No one cares. Look, no one's searching for it. And I'm like, you do not understand how politics work. As now, Michael Wolff came out, and it looks like he was encouraging Jeffrey Epstein to blackmail then President Donald Trump in emails, which Viva Frei responded to saying there should be an investigation here.
Bill Clinton's still wandering the halls of polite society, giving very low-energy Biden-esque level speeches, picking up checks, and nobody asks him this. He's fully available to be asked.
He was getting a deep tissue back massage from one of Epstein's victims. I mean, the photograph is there.
There's photographs, yeah.
And it's so in your face. People are like, this photograph has to be AI, like the new generation who didn't grow up with this stuff. But it does beg the question as to why on earth the administration, backtracked on the promise to release these files. And it makes you ask some questions about the advice that Trump is getting from some members of his administration. But
yeah, absolutely.
Other than that, this is Michael Wolff, literally the journalist who wrote that book after he was led into the White House, literally colluding with Jeffrey Epstein to try to blackmail Donald Trump in 2016. This is criminality of the highest order. And Kash and Dan have got their hands full dealing with other fires. But Michael Wolff should be under investigation for something. This is not a show me the man, find me the crime. I have a good indication that this is criminal wrongdoing, whether or not it's barred by statute.
Yeah, but we're not investigating anyone on the Epstein list. We're told to shut up and move away here from the Epstein list. Of course, other people are saying, let's look into the New York Times. It looks like the New York Times was tipping off Epstein about people investigating him. Yep. As it looked like Landis Thomas Jr. Is being accused here. There's an email allegedly showing him, the financial reporter, tipping off Epstein that someone's looking into him. Someone's doing some investigations into him, as of course, that's pretty criminal. And then, of course, now we have the case of Steve Bannon, which appears in the emails a lot. Before talking about Steve Bannon and Roger Stone, who doesn't have the best opinion of him, we just really quickly and shortly wanted to tell you about WeAreChange.shop. Our number one selling supplement is our creatine 2-month supply, $53. As right now it is still in stock. I don't know why it says can be back order, but we do have it in stock now. I'm working on making sure you guys get the highest quality premium stuff from Germany. Lots of stuff from China. Don't trust that stuff. It's cheaper. Sometimes it's contaminated. You do not want to do that. Creatine now has been talked about by MMA superstar Islam Makhachev, who's going to be fighting this weekend. And he talked about how creatine has helped him out tremendously. As Dustin Poirier responded to Islam Makhachev taking creatine, saying, quote, it won't help much. I don't take a whole lot of creatine. I've been using it my entire career. It's not like a super drug that's going to change everything overnight. Quote, it helps with muscle recovery, putting on a little bit of muscle, helps with your brain. It's not something crazy. It's, quote, it's crazy to me that he's never used it in his career. Yeah, that's the crazy part. Especially if you're a combat fighter. I'm finally getting back into it. You can see some of my shorts and Instagram videos of me being fat, sluggish, and slow. I suck. But combat sports is really, really fun. And if you're into that stuff, I can't recommend it enough. It's so good to get some confidence. It's so good to know how to defend yourself. It's so good to know to have that type of reassurances. And then creatine helps you out, especially if you're an aging woman. My goodness, creatine and aging women. If you're a hubby, you got an elder lady out there, look into this stuff seriously. We got the women's bundle that involves creatine. Why? Because it helps out women tremendously. WeAreChange.shop, especially older women, postmenopausal women, tremendously. WeAreChange.shop. Okay. Let's get back to Steve Bannon here, because I think he is absolutely worth talking about. Roger Stone came out, and again, Roger Stone and Steve Bannon are fighting. He says, fascinating. Over 1,700 mentions of Steve Bannon and Jeffrey Epstein's emails released today, including many emails between Steve and his friend Epstein. As yesterday, the House Oversight released these emails, but they showed former White House chief strategist and close ally of Donald Trump, Steve Bannon, exchanged with hundreds of emails. As, of course, there was also an interview. Emails between the two include discussions about, quote, getting rid of the Federal Reserve Chair, Jerome Powell. How is Epstein involved in potentially getting rid of Jerome Powell? Quote, and other problematic members of the Trump administration, alongside talks with other influencing politics in Europe, and a strange list of names and words sent by Epstein to Bannon in June 2019, which included Prince Andrew. Yeah. As right now, Steve Bannon did record 16 hours of interviews with Jeffrey Epstein. Now, some people accuse Steve Bannon of coaching Jeffrey Epstein. Some people accuse him of lying, but a lot of people are saying, hey, when are you going to release this Epstein list? Now, Steve Bannon actually responded to this and did make a response during the SAS TPUSA meeting where I was at. And during that meeting, he specifically said it's going to be coming out January 2026. Will it come out? There's a trailer. But again, it's going to be interesting to see, because this is the clips for the sit-down interview. Now, some people are saying the sit-down interview was just coaching. We're going to see who's telling the truth here. But Steve Bannon says, no, it is a documentary, and it is going to be coming out in a 4-part series, and we're editing, and we're working on it, and it's going to be out 2026, early 2026. We'll see that. Now, Steve Bannon's response to all of this is kind of interesting, as he came out, and some people were accusing him of doing damage control about Trump and what people expect to be released in the future. As, of course, he talked about how Trump has some flaws, but he's the greater good here, which highlights, maybe he knows something that we don't know, the highlight a situation that more information could be dropping that could make the president potentially look bad. Now, so far, we know the two were friends. We know they were hanging out. We knew that they became enemies. We know that they fought. And that's all we know. We also know Virginia Roberts, Ghislaine Maxwell came out and said, no, Trump's not implicated in any of this. He didn't do any wrongdoing. Epstein, when having the chance to free himself, said, no. He, allegedly, according to his cellmate, that also allegedly beat him up. That led to allegedly the first attempt of him trying to take his own existence. That put him in protective custody, where his cellmate was actually taken out. Weird. But the FBI told us, in an unsigned memo, nothing to see here, case closed, shut up, don't be a weakling. And I'm like, whoa. That's not the response you should be having here. Here's Steve Bannon in his own words.
Did I mention that Trump's not perfect? He's an imperfect instrument. But he's an instrument infused by divine providence. If you had not had him and you didn't have him today, you wouldn't have anything. And I realize there's some days and some comments that get you all worked up. We're here to calm you down and say, let's keep, this is 12 o'clock high. You're on a bombing run. Stay focused. Don't be getting off, don't be getting off the main event here. Did I mention?
Now, that's an interesting response. It's a very interesting response because people are saying, well, it's like he's foreshadowing or trying to maybe potentially even safeguard himself. As people are having some interesting things to say about this, as people are saying, well, maybe there is some stuff here. We're going to see, but this behavior by Trump trying to get his inner circle, being like, no, don't pass this. And it looks like it's going to pass. And this is what I've been warning about from day one. I was like, listen, people don't understand. Now, the question that a lot of right-wingers have are saying, well, if they had something on Trump, why didn't they just release it back when they were trying to stop him? And that's a good question. And that's an important question to utilize. Now, I have some big personality friends that are like, no, they're just using it as their Trump card. And I'm like, they were pulling out all the stops against Trump. They were raiding his home, taking shots at him, making him face 700 years in jail. Why didn't the Democrats use this? Well, because it could potentially make the whole house of cards to fall down. Now, if your house of cards is built on exploiting children to powerful people, it deserves to collapse. What's going to happen next, I think, is going to be very exciting. It's going to be very interesting. And I think it's going to shock a lot of people from the sources that I have and the people that I talk to. It is going to be shocking. So prepare accordingly. And again, these email conversations, talking about state visits to the United Kingdom by Donald Trump, Jeffrey Epstein's involved. Why? Jeffrey Epstein was negotiating and pretty much acting on the behest of Israeli security companies, Israeli prime ministers, Israeli intelligence officers that were all staying around him. He was negotiating deals for Israel's security firms in Africa. He was negotiating deals with Mongolia and Israel. He was negotiating deals for the future of Syria with Russia, back channels Russia. He was advising JP Morgan on how to deal with China. He was working on anti-gravity tech. He was working on shoes with spying devices for children with Middle Eastern royalty. What? Who was this man? An agent, double agent, triple agent, quadruple agent of multiple governments, but I think we know which one. And I think we know the people inside of Trump's administration that don't want that exposed, that are also connected to him, previously worked with him, that are also a part of his inner circle. I think that's my assessment on the matter. I think his advisors absolutely screwed him over, and they're leading him to the slaughter. That is my own personal assessment and opinion on this. Now, again, there's emails with Steve Bannon and Jeffrey Epstein all the way up in 2019. Again, Epstein was a registered S offender. Ian Garrell says, these emails are a goldmine of Lord knows what. There's also another email talking about smart shoes. How can it can assist with providing shoes with GPS integration to track kids? Epstein response, thanks, that's a great idea. That's awesome. There's also proposals of girls to the Palantir CEO, former UK prime ministers, Emirates and Qatari officials. What? Now, this is just wild. This is just crazy. And guess what? It's only going to get crazier from here. Expect the most wildest things that you can't even possibly fathom and imagine coming out soon. I love you guys. I'm going to be here for you guys watching, subscribing, and continuing our efforts here as a part of independent media, supporting us on wearechange.shop. And this is why I love you guys. Stay tuned for more here on youtube.com/wearechange.